Hi, my name's India and today I'm talking to you about Patriarchy, Perjury and Catholics Unplug. These are two publications that I made last year as a broader piece of work that I was working on called Totems of Transcendence. They came as a result of we had moved our family home, and as a result of that we had to kind of downsize things that we had, mainly our kind of archive of our family albums and things like that. The things that I found quite interesting were going through our family albums. Everybody has family albums, we can all identify with that. It's kind of, you know, essentially we become collectors of memories. It's something that everybody has in common, but they're all so different, and we think that these things are authentic to us, but in terms of looking at them and kind of just taking like a keener eye and looking at them and realising that they're not authentic, they kind of document the memories that we all have, whether it's birth or weddings and happy moments. But what it did is it omitted the negative moments that we have throughout life, and that's something that I found quite interesting and wanted to develop within my work. For me personally, within our albums, the presence that I found quite strong was the Catholic kind of upbringing that we'd had, and it wasn't until as an adult looking back on it that I found it was quite suppressing. But 2 decades later, to kind of look at that and not identify with yourself and look at this tangible thing where you're present in a picture and you know it's you, but you're looking at it and it just feels so like separate from who you are. The thing that I found interesting about our family albums was the things that you had in between your albums, so the letters or the magazines or the recipes, little small things that you kept in between the pages that you didn't find important enough to fix in the albums, but you found them important enough to keep. So with the two things that I've made, all of the imagery that's within them is created from archive of the family albums, and the reason that I found them interesting is because they're so controversial, and it's things that I wouldn't had somebody to say to me, this is part of who you were when you were growing up, I would probably have an argument with you over it because it's so strange. But in looking back in it and then recreating a narrative with that through the tabloid and the zine that I've created, the reason I decided to choose a tabloid type zine was I felt like it represented a mistruth. It's a partial truth, and that's how you read a tabloid. You know it's a truth and you know it's not authentic in a way, but you read it as a truth, and that's why I've chose to print them in such a way rather than I could have recreated a lot of the images and printed them really nicely in techniques that I'd developed and I've learned, but I chose to reproduce them in quite a low quality in risograph and in zines and broadsheets to represent that idea of propagandised truths and misrepresentation of family albums. One of the most kind of controversial things that I found throughout that was based in the albums was things that, so they're like magazines and things that were Catholic based, that our family had collected over time, and the truths that they'd kind of printed in them were strongly worded that now, maybe in the present time, seem very controversial. Present Trump world, they feel pretty present again, but just things that represent, like, they makes comments on homosexuality or building a Catholic army, things like that, that sound crazy to say it out loud, but these are tangible things that I found slotted within, you know, me and my sister having a birthday party or my mum and dad's wedding picture, and it's like, these are people that I love and care about, but at the same time I'm like, I don't identify them to that, and it's exploring that and how authentic is your family album, and you have your wedding picture and you have your birthdays and you have this, but does it talk about the hard times that you had in between and the divorce? And it's just challenging that in authentic nature of what you consider your family album to be. With some of the family films that we had as well, when you take videotapes as well, again with them, I've kind of documented them towards the end of the zine, or the tabloid in this case. And what I wanted to do was not document them in a way that was representative of how I look at them. I wanted to break them down further, degenerate the images and degenerate how I saw them. So I had projected the videos on a larger scale, and it was myself in my communion dress for use that aren't Catholic, which I've learned through doing the process of this. Not a lot of people actually understand Catholic rituals, which is totally fine. But for me, it felt so second nature, I didn't realise it wasn't to other people as well. When you're baptised or you have a first communion, you're married, you wear a white dress, and it's so symbolic of a female giving herself to faith or servitude in a sense. And by being in that dress, you're kind of giving yourself away. But with that imagery, I was watching myself in the videos, and I knew it was me, but I just couldn't see my present self in that. So with the videos, I'd projected them and then scanned images as they were going to recreate image of distortion of how I felt about it now. And they'd come out a lot kind of like this in the distorted imagery, which felt quite ghostly and distorted into how I feel presently about it. With the second smaller zine that I'd made was called Patriarchy, Perjury. It was based on all the fathers that I found present within my albums, which we had such a strong repetition of priests and fathers within my family album. Personally, my experience of having a father was absent, so it was about all the fathers that were present in my album that weren't my father. And it was a really, really strong repetition of family holidays, family events, everything. There was a priest present, but it wasn't my father. And it built up a narrative again with the propagandised kind of magazines and leaflets that also were within my album as well, to kind of recreate a kind of cathartic repetitive approach to it in this scene. So yeah, cool. If you want to buy them, that'd be nice. Thanks.